So I always say to people, if you were to close your eyes right now, and if you were to take 3 deep breaths and feel into your body, what is going on? Do you feel any hurt? Do you feel any sadness? Where? What side of the body? It's all that coming inwards. Who are you? So when you come back in, you don't need to go down a spiritual path, or you don't need to go down a personal development path. It's like, just take a few seconds, come inwards.
Yeah.
How do I feel in my body? And if it's not okay, what do I need to do? What are the next steps that I could do to help myself, to facilitate myself? And that's you then being in flow.
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com.
Welcome to today's episode of When You Choose You podcast. Today we have the amazing Leanne Price. I am not going to say anything that I was asked, who is your guest today? And I said, I can't describe her. I need to be around her to describe her. So I think you are in for a treat, and I am sure that you are going to be not to look forward to the end of it, to be there for longer than you expected. No, that's not a threat. Okay, so I guess the time will fly. So welcome. Thank you so much for coming and joining me. And she's a ball of positive energy. That's the best way to describe her.
Oh.
Magic.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for inviting me here today. I've never been in a podcast studio, so I'm like, yay.
But you have your own podcast.
Yes, that I record just from home, but just, felt the fear I'd done it anyway, but being in a podcast studio, I'm like, oh my God, this is such a blessing and an honor. So thank you for popping my podcast cherry, being in a studio.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us the beautiful gifts, what the divine put in you.
Oh.
So tell us what you are doing, and you do many things.
I do so much. When people say to me, so what is it that you do? I'm like, how long do you have?
That's very good way to put it.
It's just, how long do you have? Do you need the short version or the long version? So basically, I'm a Reiki Master. I'm a holistic practitioner. I'm a love and confidence coach, but really a life coach. I'm also a podcaster. I have online workshops. I do coaching, and I have an online community. So there's many facets to the business. So I do lots. I'm just all about how can I help people? How can I do more, be more, and be of service?
And also you are a mom of 3.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I'm a mom of 3 as well. Why not? So Jack, my son, is 11, and I've identical twin girls, Hayley and Hannah, who are 6. Yeah. Wow. And happily married to the gorgeous Kevin. So yeah, life is blissful and amazing. Don't tell them that, but yes, it is.
Brilliant. And I know, as positive as you are, you had a moment in life. What that moment was probably a few years of grief and not as easy to go through. And if you will feel comfortable enough, and I hope you will, we'll probably touch a little bit to see if we can help anyone else out there. That's because that's all what podcast is about, to help people to identify with certain situations and get a bit of support if we can.
Of course. Yeah. And I do honestly love sharing my story, even though it is a difficult story, but I do love sharing it because I feel if I can help, it's always kind of been my mantra. If I can just help one person, I feel always through my life, I've always been the helper, the try to be the fixer and all the rest of it. And in most of it, depleting my energy and never knowing where I was meant to go in life. So at the age of, I'd done everything in life that you were meant to do. You went to school, you got the job, you done the 9 to 5, you got the house, you found the man, you had the baby. I ticked the boxes that you were meant to do. So at the age then of 30, I had my son, Jack, and then 6 months after Jack was born, John, my first husband, unfortunately was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a cancer of the blood. So you can imagine you're a first-time mom. You're trying to navigate through that. I was just due to go back to work part-time as well. So again, navigating that. And then all of a sudden the universe was like, now here's another little thing for you to try and navigate. So we were thrown into that world of chemotherapy. John had chemo every 2 weeks. But firstly, anyone that knows going through a chemo journey when you're very young, you go through the whole fertility thing. You mightn't potentially be able to have any more kids. And we had to go up to James's and he had to freeze sperm and do all of that. And it's funny, and I love sharing this part of the story, obviously in hindsight, on the second time when we were due to go up to Dublin, the car broke down outside of Nina. And I'll never forget it. And I'll always remember ringing the place going, but we have to get up. He's starting chemo Friday, panicking and going, while John, it didn't bother John as much, but me, I was having like an out, like, oh, my energy was all over the place. And I was like, but we have to get up. And how many vials do we have? And what, oh my God, total fight or flight mode I was in, But then when he passed away, I was able to reflect on that and go, there was no need to go up there. There was really no need to go up there. So the universe was like, let's break down the car. Let's not waste a journey on them. Let's just let them go back to their little son and let them have time to build memories. So again, hindsight is great.
And it's very interesting what you said there, because in the middle of a moment like this, when you are in a crisis, everything, it seems against you.
Yeah, 100%. The world is working against me. And I remember, because I would have been someone I feel that always suffered with anxiety. So in that moment, you can imagine my body was just on fight or flight, adrenaline. We've had 2 weeks of knowing that John has cancer, to now we potentially might never be able to have kids again, to now the car is breaking down when we're trying to secure our family's future. I'm like, what is going on? Like, especially when you think you're doing the do as a person.
Yes.
I think I'm a good person. Why is this happening to me?
Now, I'll give you a little bit of glimpse of what Leanne does. So knowing now what you went through, what do you see that happened beyond the physical?
So what do I feel happened to, like, within that?
So if you are looking back and you see that moment, beyond the physical, the anxiety, the fight and flight, how do you translate that through your all energy work and...
Oh, yeah. That it was basically...
Put that in a different perspective. Yeah, the spiritual part.
The spiritual part. It was a sore... And I do have another story for that in a couple of minutes as well. We've loads of stories here today. That's why we said, tune in, strap yourself in. It's going to be a great ride. But I do know it was a source outside of me. I do believe in energy. I do believe in all of that. So I know it was an energy outside of me that was controlling the situation for our highest good. And that's why I always say to people, there's always going to be roundabouts and speed bumps on your journey. We may not know them and we may not understand them in the moment, but I know it was something that was literally holding back, and there was no point in that journey.
Were you always like that? Or all
the teachings and the learnings over the past decade, because it's been over a decade now, since John passed away. So it's all that. But I was always a spiritual person. I was raised Catholic, but I always felt I was in touch with spirit. I always felt a sense. I'm empathic. I can always feel people, their emotions and so on. So I could always do that. But again, from a very then I felt, obviously in the situation with John, I needed to control, because you're in fight or flight. So I needed to control. So it's like, I need to control this. I need to, figure it all out for everyone. I need to save the world.
Yes.
Be the Mother Teresa over here while depleting myself.
Yeah, exactly. And for some reason, we are masters. Women in general, we are masters of doing that.
100%. Yeah. And it is. And it's our response to life. It's the feminine flow, it's the masculine flow, but sometimes we could be more in that masculine energy. But when John then, unfortunately, he had chemo every 2 weeks and he got the all clear halfway through his treatment. So 2 months into his treatment, we were told he had the all clear. We were like, yes, this is it. And we needed to get to the 18th of October for him to finish his treatment. And then we were out the other side of it. So we were just getting through as best we could. But unfortunately, Jack was only 10 months then at the time. On the 5th of September, he just basically wasn't feeling well in himself. And when he was getting out of bed, he died of a clot in my arms. Getting out of bed.
God.
Yeah. So I had to try and revive him.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. It was hard. It was one of the most difficult moments in my life. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It was so, so hard. But again, I'll be forever grateful. As much as I'll carry the PTSD and all of that with me, I'll be forever grateful that I was there in that moment. I got to be the last person with him. I got to try to save him. and it was, as I said, it was so, so difficult. But again, I'll be forever grateful that I was there, because I'll never question what if. And I did share with someone recently that I remember the oncologist rang me about a couple of hours after they'd done the preliminary autopsy results, and she had said it was a clot. And in a way, I felt a relief. I felt like a stone had been lifted off my back, because I felt maybe if it had been a heart attack, could I have done more? Could I have done the compressions different? Could I have done that? And from a spirituality side, so I said, I had another story for you. So in the moment when I'm doing the compressions on John, I had this outer body experience. I was physically doing the compressions and CPR. But over here, I was being held in a cocoon. I call it an angel, higher being, whatever it was. And I was just curled up. And it was like as if I was 4 nearly. I was like 4 years of age. And it was like I was just being protected.
Yes.
So my physical body is doing this. But my being, my spirit, my soul is over here being minded and being protected. And I'll always remember that, like even now talking to you, I can still feel it. And it was just that protection.
I feel it myself, a touch of it, like,
It was just so, so beautiful in one of the hardest, darkest, obviously, times of my life. And it was crazy. Then I was thrown into a world all of a sudden. You're married with a child, and then within a split second,
yes, exactly,
your life has been ripped away from you. And it was crazy because, there are people always say like a slow paced movie, or things are just going really slow in your life. I remember when I was going over to my mother's, because my mother had literally only come and collected Jack that morning because John was due for chemotherapy. And she was only gone out of the house 10 minutes. There's a lot of 10s in my life. There's a lot of 24s in my life. There's a lot of synchronicities. But she was literally gone 10 minutes with Jack. And then obviously I had to ring her to come back over when the ambulance were there. And when I went back over to her house that evening, it's obviously when when the oncologist rang me. But when we were driving over to her house, it was a Friday. It was September, so it was still kind of sunny out. It was still, barbecue vibes.
Yeah.
All I saw was people coming out of Super Value with their crates of beer, and they're shopping and smiles on their face. It's Friday, it's payday, it's all these amazing things that Friday bring. And there's me going past in a car, and my whole life has been ripped away from me.
Yeah.
And I remember just like looking out the window and just going, what?
Yeah.
Do you know what is going on? Crazy.
How did you pick yourself up? Or how long did it take to pick yourself up? And what helped? What do you feel that didn't help? How did you process that?
Well, there's no way to process it, only feel it. There is no magic cure, no magic pill, no magic wand. You have to go through it. For me, my son, I was so blessed. At the time, I couldn't see it. People would say to me, you're so blessed you have Jack. And I'm like, how am I blessed? I'm a 31-year-old widow and single mom to a 10-month-old. How?
Yeah. And thank you so much for saying that, acknowledging that, because I think that's so important for people out there. Because we feel like we hear all of these things. You are so blessed. You not see what. And we go through dark moments and we blame ourselves. Why do I not see the positive? Why am I not able? I think it's very normal.
100%.
To feel the darkness.
Yeah, you have to. It's part of life. It's your shadow. You have to go through it. And that's what life is. And that's why when people sometimes from like religion point of view, when they say hell and all the rest of it, I don't believe in that. I believe in higher beings and sorts. But I do believe we have hell on earth. We have hell within us sometimes when we're going through the dark night of the soul, when we're going through the grief, when we're going through all of these things. That's what it is, So for me, Jack was my blessing at the time. Don't get me wrong. At the time, obviously, I did love him and I did view him as a blessing. But at the time when people say it, you're like, sorry, like, what is that? Like, how do you mean?
Yeah.
But
you have the authenticity and the integrity to say,
yes,
I did actually felt hard to comprehend that he's a blessing when even though absolutely you loved him, that there is no doubt there. But I really appreciate that.
I have to go through this now alone, and I have to grieve, and I have to go through, and you're thinking of the future in your head. How am I going to rear him? And he now doesn't have a dad. So not only are you grieving, you're feeling the loss for yourself, you're now feeling the loss for your son, for the life that he's not going to have. It was wild. It was a crazy experience. For me though, I'll be forever grateful. Again, I always try to come back alter gratitude and be grateful. But I had started with an American company a couple of months before John got diagnosed, and they're big into personal development, spiritual development and wellness. So again, I believe everything happens in life for a reason. And they came into my life, and I do believe while they were helping me get healthy and fit and that, but also they were into personal development and spiritual development. So I had started on my personal development and spiritual development journey. So I was listening to people like Jim Rohn. I was listening to all these different people, and like, you are the 5 people you keep and different things like that. And Louise Hay.
Yeah.
So like, while I had been thrust into this world of like ill health and all the rest of it, and I'm over here trying to get healthy, and like it was so bipolar and weird. You know, it's like John was going for chemo every 2 weeks, and I'm over here getting healthy, healing the world with wellness. It was crazy. And then knowing how like the mind can play so much tricks in you. And I do believe we all suffer with our mental health in one shape or form at some part of our life. So when I was diving more deep into the personal development and the spiritual development, I was like, wow, I could start looking back on my life, and I was reflecting, you know, and it was helping me with my grief as well.
Yeah.
Because I was able to, as hard as it was to sit with it, again, I'll be always forever grateful that I suffered with anxiety before John passed away, because if I didn't, I probably would have been in A&E every day going, I'm dying.
Yes, okay.
There's something wrong with me. Like, I was having 10 panic attacks a day when he passed away. It was hard. It was. But again, I knew what it was.
You knew. That was my question. Did you know what you are going? Okay.
100% I did. And while it's not going, yay, it's just anxiety. It's grand.
Yeah.
It was still intense. It was still taking over my whole body. It was like, oh my God, am I going to die? And my fear every single night, and it still upsets me to think it, and it's still so lonely. Every night when I go to bed, I would always be like, what if I die in my sleep? When will someone find Jack? Because he's in his cot. He's only 10 months older. However he progressed, I had that fear every night of going to bed. So every night when I was going to bed, I would put on a guided meditation on YouTube. And it was like as if I needed someone with me, if that makes sense. So I've gone from someone being in the bed next to me to having no one.
Yes.
But the silence, that dead silence when you are alone, when you're in a dark place, when you're in, as in a dark place inside.
Yeah.
Not just like with the lights off because it's nighttime, but when you're in a dark place, it's like you need that guidance. You need that little ray of light. So for me, the guided meditations at nighttime when I was going to sleep really helped me kind of get out of that fear of, oh my God, if I die, when will someone find Jack? Oh my God, the front door is locked. They'll have to break down the door. My mind was going wild.
Scenarios, yeah.
Oh my God, you've no idea. Like, will he starve? Like, it's crazy where your mind can go. So I had to keep talking myself off the ledge and using the little skills like the guided meditations to help me with that. I signed up for a 6-week course in Limerick then at the time for meditation. You know, you go, you lie down, someone talks you through a meditation. I was having panic attacks in that. So I was being very proactive. But sure, my body was like as if it had come back from Afghanistan. It didn't know what was going on. I'd been in bomb territory. It's like my body was just PTSD, anxiety, not a clue. So that's why I always say you have to be willing to go on the journey. There isn't a magic pill, potion or whatever. So for the 10 months, I'd done it as best I could, holistically as I could. If you had said stand on your head for 10 hours and you won't feel it, I would have done 11 hours for you.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I'll do it.
I don't know if you're familiar with Wayne Dwyer.
Yes, love him. Yeah.
Probably you listen to. He says in one of his teaching sessions that about crystals. Do you remember that? Are the crystals working? I am telling you, if you would have a pain in the back hole and someone will tell you that a crystal will heal you, you are going to do that.
Of course.
Yes.
You'll take the crystal and you do it.
That was like, I was so amazed that he couldn't describe it for better.
Than that. But it is, but again, it's coming back to that mind. I've crystals on me now. I've been known to have crystals in my bra.
I'm not saying anything. Exactly.
No, I know, but it's the mind.
And also, if you don't believe the holistic treatment or the reflexology or the homeopath remedy is going to work, you can pay thousands and
it won't
they
work.
Will not. Yeah, exactly.
If you don't believe it won't work. And that's why I do believe the holistic and the medical go hand in hand. So on the 10th month, I ended up having to go to the doctor because I was like going, look, and he was like, thank you for coming, Leanne, because he knew. He was like, he was waiting for me, I suppose, to come.
Yeah.
So I went, because he would have known my history with anxiety and I would have never have went on anything in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, enough is enough. What the straw that broke the camel's back is my friend flew over from Edinburgh and we were on a night out up in Dublin. So my mother took my son and I went up to Dublin for 2 nights. The first night I arrived, I kept looking for signs for the hospital. It's like, where's the hospital? In my head. So Lisa's unaware of this. And bear in mind, like I would have loved a drink, a night out, but I was so anxious in my body. So I remember we had 2 drinks, 2 Prosecco's, and I remember ringing the VHI because of course it's a Friday night. Everything always happens on a Friday or a weekend. So I rang VHI and I was like, look, I'm just letting you know, like I've had 2 glasses of Prosecco and I'm just feeling, talk me down off the ledge. I needed someone to talk me down. And they said, you're perfectly fine. And I said, look, I have Xanax. The doctor had, when John first passed away, prescribed them because I didn't want to go anything. But he said, have them in your purse. If you need them, they're there. I remember saying that to them and they were like, just take a Xanax, just take, it is fine. You are fine. It is okay.
Yeah.
Just take that. And I was like, but I've had 2 glasses of Prosecco. Like, oh my, if the girl who I was in my 20s, the drinking and all the rest of it that I used to do in my 20s, and here's me with 2 glasses of Prosecco and going, can I take a Xanax? Oh my God, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
It's totally wild, the difference in who I was. So straight away when I left Dublin the following day, I went straight to the doctor. I'll never forget, I went straight to the doctor and I was like, I need something. But it's crazy. So like the placebo effect, I literally, the first day I took something, I remember going home, my mother came over and I was on the couch and I was like a dribbling mess. It's the only way I can describe it. But it was like, it was the surrender.
Yes.
I just surrendered. And I said to Mum, I was like, if this is how they affect me, of course they weren't affecting me. I'd only taken 1.
Yeah.
But I was like, if this is how they're affecting me, I'll never be able to function anymore. I was like, oh my God. But it wasn't. It was just my body going, you've now allowed yourself to breathe.
Yes, exactly.
So they hadn't even started working on me, but that placebo, the crystal effect, it was like now. So I tried everything, but it was more, I suppose, in a controlling, I'm not going to go on medication. I'm not going to, do this. So I was trying the oils and they all did help me, but I just needed the extra bit.
And that's it. I'm so, again, very grateful that you touched on that because it's very important. We are 2 holistic practitioners here and we both see the need of medication when it's the need for medication. And I think it's so important to have that peace of mind and also being open to accept that yes, to a certain extent the medication is overused in the system and we are not talking about that, but just to resist because you are afraid, that's not helping either.
No, it's not. And that's the thing, they can go hand in hand. But what I keep saying, and because of my journey, is still help yourself. So don't take the antidepressant, let's say, or whatever, and then, or like high blood pressure medication. So high blood pressure medication and sit on the couch and don't exercise. Excuse me, you should be off your arse and exercising. So like an antidepressant, what are you doing? And I'm not saying I'm over here and I know it all, but I'm just saying, again, what else can I be doing to help myself? So while I'm taking the medication to help it, what can I also be doing over here from a mind, body and soul? Exactly. What can I be doing to help my physical? So it's like, this is the plaster, but I need to be working to heal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what am I doing to heal?
This helps me to function.
Yes.
But while I function, how I function is important.
100%. So the counselling, and I've done it. I have done it all. I've done the counselling, the coaching, the holistic modalities, hence why I've trained in them all, because I'm the type of person, if it's helped me, I need to train in it because I need to be then able to help others.
Yes. Yeah. So but the very same. And usually every single holistic practitioner in any form or shape, it went through a healing process himself or herself, and then it's probably your soul needs more that qualification, like 100%. The process, then you think that your mind needs it, and And then I actually got human design done recently as well. So I'm a generator. So I know that comes in with the sacral energy, and it's constantly that you want to master stuff and keep mastering. Yes, I'm a generator myself.
Oh, are you? Yeah, so it's funny, like, so us generators, and I always jokingly say, like, I enjoy doing yoga, but for me in my head, it's like, you need to become the teacher. Like, no, you don't. You can just enjoy the class.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But it's the constant wanting of knowledge, which is beautiful. You know what I mean? And it is a beautiful thing, but sometimes you have to call yourself back and go, just calm down now as well. Like, you know, while you're being a student of life, you don't need to be knees deep in every single thing, learning and growing from that. But obviously when John passed away, I was on that healing journey, the discovering who I was, but I went on a beautiful journey. That's all I can describe it as, a beautiful journey, because I can hand on my heart say that I don't think I ever loved myself properly. I don't think I ever knew my worth, my value. I never knew any of that. So by going on that personal development, spiritual development journey, it literally helped me to find me, who I was as a person, who I wanted to be, and who I wanted to show up as going forward. And I'm a very visual person. I don't know whether it's because I'm dyslexic. I don't know, but I'm a very visual person. So I remember viewing my life in two ways. And it was like, this path will be the single mom. I'll get Jack till, you know, he's 18, 19. He'll go off to college. Then I will start my life.
Okay.
Or I'll go this way. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a single mom or any of those things. If that lights you up, do you. But for me, I was like, no.
Choose you.
Choose you, do you, all of that. But I knew this path over here was like, this is more the exciting path for me. I wanted to reopen up my heart again to love, even though that scared me beyond. But I knew I needed to love myself first.
Yes.
And I can honestly say at the age of 33 was the first time I truly ever loved myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was 42, I think, when I learned that. And yes, I think it's nothing more challenging than to step into a relationship with no capacity of loving yourself and not knowing how. Because that's exactly what happens. We are not taught how to love ourselves and what is, if anything, is the opposite. What we are taught.
Sacrifice. Give. You know, it is crazy. And that's why I'm so delighted now, because obviously I've been fortunate. I'm blessed to have two girls as well, as much as sometimes I don't say that. But because they're 6 and I can already see what the hormone years are going to look like. And I'm like, and my mother keeps saying karma's a bitch. But anyway. But I am delighted that I'm studying all of this and I'm understanding all of this, you know, to really go through it. Helped me to really ground into myself, knowing that we have a masculine and feminine energy, and to honor the flow, because I will be very in my masculine energy, the doing, the going, the achieving. So it was lovely to understand those aspects and to come back into it.
Yes, exactly. So it's the right moment to stop you there and to allow people to take small bites of that, because not everyone is up to date with the masculine. So explain yourself in a little bit more, unpack that.
Okay,
what you just said.
Okay, so we all have a masculine and feminine energy. So the masculine energy will be kind of the right side of your body. The feminine energy is the left side of your body. The masculine energy is all the doing, the achieving, the goal setting. The feminine energy is when she's in her flow. I always say to people, because again, I'm a visual person, if you were to envision a goddess running through a field, her hands going in flow, it's all of that type of energy. It's the receptive. I'm open to receive. But again, from a chakra point of view, we're very closed off from our sacral down to our root chakra as women. And I do believe as Catholic women, because it's the shame.
And Orthodox, it's the same. I'm
all religions.
Exactly.
I assume all religion. And I always say, just in case I don't want anyone to be like, oh, she's out here talking about religion. It's not. I love I'm a spiritual person. I believe in the higher self. I believe in spirit. I've just been talking about angels holding me. Like, I believe in it all. But I do believe when we have been trained, when we have been told these things, that it really takes away from our energy. So I always say to people, if you were to close your eyes right now, and if you were to take 3 deep breaths and feel into your body, what is going on? Do you feel any hurt? Do you feel any sadness? Where? What side of the body? It's all that coming inwards. But we've been taught to be external.
Yes.
To look a certain way, to feel a certain way, you know, be strong. I don't want to be strong. I want to cry.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we would have been told that growing up. And again, that's not, that's no disrespect to my parents, but that's the way they would have been brought up. And it's be strong. Don't let, anyone see you cry and that. And so you build up this person, but it's like, who are you? So when you come back in, you don't need to go down a spiritual path, or you don't need to go down a personal development path. It's like, just take a few seconds, come inwards.
Yeah.
How do I feel in my body? And if it's not okay, what do I need to do? What are the next steps that I could do to help myself, to facilitate myself? And that's you then being in flow with that energy. So it's very simple. It can sound proper woo-woo as well. But it's the simplicity of coming back into your body. It is.
I think it is a missing element what the traditional view of healing is overviewing it.
Yes.
And doesn't. I always said I was working in a medical field in the hospitals and in the practice for 11 years, I think. I didn't put the maths exactly, but I think roughly. And I said I was able to see the missing link between a person who is coming with an illness and suffering in the body and who is the inside who suffers. And they only addressed the illness. They didn't address the person. It got better though nowadays, but I saw it. We are talking about pre-COVID when I was last time in the hospital, and I was like, oh my God, they don't have time. They don't have the logistic. They don't have the knowing how to look at the spiritual side of that being.
Yeah.
The being.
Yes.
Who has the physical ailment.
Exactly. What's going on, you know? And I have said it many a time, I do believe I could potentially see when stuff started to occur with John. And it was all got to do with external stuff. And it just built up inside. And then obviously, what is disease? It's not being at ease.
At ease, yeah, exactly.
So I do believe, again, I could be totally wrong. I don't know. But I do believe, and again, as more I learn, it's like, oh, I could see it. And I'm like going, obviously hindsight after the fact, but I could see it and I was like going, wow. But again, people have to be open as well. You have to be open, one, to want help, two, to be able to talk about it. Because again, like getting back to people will take medication, they mightn't go for the counselling, they mightn't get on the treadmill. You have to be willing. And I remember I didn't know what I wanted to do when John passed away. So when I decided, you know, I'm going to so I was working in the wellness industry, but I knew I wanted to do more. And I remember I'd done a 10-week introductory course into counselling to see was that where I wanted to really, really go. And we all went around the room and the facilitator asked us a question like, why are you doing this? And for me, it was like, I'd love to be able to save every widow for not, you know, feeling how I felt, to give them maybe a 10-step guide or whatever the case may be, to help them on their journey. And he was like, that's so wrong of you. I was like, excuse me? There's me thinking I'm being like Mother Teresa healing the world. I was like, what? And he was like, but everyone is on their journey. And what he said to me straight away in that moment, again, being the visual person, he said, you're from Limerick, aren't you? And I said, yeah. And he said, you know the way people are constantly committing suicide, they're jumping off the bridges? And I said, yeah. And he said, if your friend jumped off the bridge, you could get on a boat, you could go over with one of the boys or whatever they're called, you could give it to them. It's their choice to grab it. Because you know when people always say you can bring a horse to water but you can't make it drink?
Yes,
that to me
that's one of them.
That to me has no feeling to it, as in for me. But when he said it that way to me, and I was like, oh, sorry, that was just a slap in the face. I was like, wow. Because I assumed I was coming in with a beautiful cape. I was going to wrap it around the people I was going to help, and I was going to get them through their journey. And I was like, no, they have to go through it. And I was like, wow. So again, how I had been as a young person, and up to that point, it would have always been, come on, I'll help you. Whereas now I facilitate.
Yes.
Now I hold space for you.
Yeah.
So exactly. Different, but and so beautiful.
You know what? I am guilty of that myself, obvious. Like I think any practitioner, if you really put it in the corner and say, are you guilty? No, come on. Safe to say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we all of us. And sometimes I say, now I take my coach, facilitator hat down and I put the mentor hat on and I kind of give advice. By the way, we don't supposed to give advice when we coach.
Yeah.
Make it clear that that's it. So when you feel that you really want to help and you know that is going to work because you know it happened for you, it happened previously, and you know that it can make things easier. But the person, it's not ready.
Yeah.
And I think for a practitioner who is truthful to itself, it's so important to acknowledge that moment and to do something with that energy.
And it can be hard though, because you feel like shaking the person. You're like, if you only knew how good it is over here, you have to go through the stuff. You have to feel. But
and
like,
I did. I'm so guilty, if I can say. I completely dismiss the guilt. Like I don't like the guilt. But I did lose a client because I pushed too much.
Yeah.
And the person wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, it's not that it was me. It was the whole process, but I needed to learn.
Yes.
I needed to learn how to stop.
Yes.
When it's too much advice given.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the way I was in the wellness industry. I was like, woohoo, rah, rah, let's go. We can do it, and really champion people.
It's coming something now to me. Very interesting. Do you think that that's part of the medical, is the negative part of the medical story when a doctor, because it's the doctor and has authority, it's trying to enforce something upon without giving the space of making the choice? And some of the people who are sensitive and they are a little bit more in tune with themselves, they feel that's not right. And I think I'm going just to touch briefly into that. I think that came very much when the vaccines were tried to be enforced and like mandatory and
scary, and the scaremongering
exactly.
and of course. Yeah.
And I think that was the scary part came to at the surface for people who really resisted. And it's not that I'm against, like, no. That's not a discussion. It's when that authority is too much exercised or enforced, I think it's not healthy.
No, it's not healthy at all.
It's dismissing the intuitive part.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
100%. And I even said, for my own personal view on that, like, I didn't want to get the vaccine, but I remember going, I made a promise to myself when John passed away, that regardless of what is happening in my life, I'll always make sure that I'll look after myself and mind myself for Jack. Obviously, this was fast forward then, and I had obviously 2 more kids. And it was like, so what if I do get COVID and what they're saying is right, and I don't take the vaccine and I die? Then I haven't tried, and a spiral.
And again, thank you so much for bringing that and being honest, because that is so. I am 100% sure that every single one of us out there had that moment of what if.
What if? And I didn't want it.
In any shape or form.
And I didn't want to take it, but I ended up taking it because I was just like going, I made that promise to myself and I would be breaking that promise to myself, So, and again, I suppose I have to give myself grace looking back at it, that I still was out there doing everything I could. I was walking, I was eating as healthy as you could. So I was still doing the do's as best I could. You know what I mean? So it does play a massive role. But again, it's, as you said, it's the mindset, it's the bombarding, it's all of those things.
Exactly.
But I actually, funnily enough, I was on a meeting last night who you had on, Olivia, the grey area drinker.
Yes, yeah.
So I gave up alcohol on New Year's Eve last year, and I was on one of her meetings last night, and she even said how things are marketed to us. Like, she even said like how the alcohol industry ended up going against ecstasy, so ease pills, years ago in, I think was it the 70s, she was saying, because they ended up people were using them in nightclubs. All people wanted to do then was drink water, but because people were only drinking water, that meant, so they were actually a legalized drug, but because people were only drinking water and weren't drinking alcohol, they had to delegalize them, make them this big massive thing that you shouldn't take them and they can kill you and blah blah. But people were dying because they weren't being given water, because they stopped. When she said that to me last night, I was like, wow, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy to think that like that goes on behind the scenes and we're not made aware of that? Yeah, I think she said it was Davina McCall's podcast she heard with a doctor on it, and he up and said that, and it's just wild.
Yes, yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the love and light and the craziness.
Go back to the story.
Go back to the love and light. But I decided then, I suppose, after I wanted to invest in myself and go on a journey of love and find love again in my life and Plus to show Jack as well that regardless of what life throws at him, that he can still make something of his life.
That's so beautiful.
And he was my little North Star. He was my shining light. And I decided, you know what, I'll open up my heart to love. And it was like, but now what does this look like? So you can have infidelity. We've had that when we were in our teens. Oh my God. Now someone can die. So the ultimate of them all.
Yes, exactly.
So I had all the fears, all the traumas going into it, but I knew I needed to work through it. So I've already fell in love with myself. I know my values. I know who I am as a person. I've done the inner work. As in, I still had a journey to go on, but I'd done enough to go, I'm ready.
And when you want to go through a relationship, you probably need that context to grow yourself through a relationship.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And I knew I wanted to give my best self to the person now that my awareness had grown. My awareness wasn't there when I was in my 20s. I didn't know. I thought you just meet a person, you date, you fall in love, there you go, great. The world doesn't evolve. You just, that's it. And you retire and you die, great. That was life. But for me now, my level of awareness was massive. It was like, wow, there's so much more to life. Life is actually beautiful. And all I wanted was time. I was like, I just want more time. I just want to feel all the like I love love. And so I opened up my heart to love. Now, this was only opening up my heart to go on dates. This was no getting remarried, having kids. That wasn't in my forecast. It was just, let's open up your heart to love. Let's, feel like a beautiful woman.
Yes.
Let's do all the gorgeous things, go on the dates, feel sexy, do all of that. Let's do that. So I done that.
Did it feel scary or?
Very scary.
Oh, did you? Okay.
One, it was online dating. I'd never done that before. It was always just like within the friend circle you'd nearly date. So now you're like you're online dating, which is like wild.
And it is wild. I went through it and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But it was a great experience. And again, I was a stay-at-home mom. So again, like you can't really be out every night, like, trying to meet your soulmate.
You can't, no.
You
can't be a manifester though, but really,
exactly,
you need to take action.
And it's funny that you mentioned manifesting. So while I'm out here, I'm on the apps and I'm going on a couple of dates, I'm also in the background training in Reiki level 1. I trained in integrated energy therapy, which is angelic healing. And part of that was doing up a vision board. So I'd done up a vision board and one of it was a photographer's camera. So I don't know the timeline between these anyway, but a photographer's camera, because I love taking pictures. I love doing all of these things. I love documenting journeys. So I took that picture and put it on my vision board, as in that I'd maybe study photography, or I was putting it out to the universe. And I put up actually a picture of a wedding dress as well. Just, sure, we may as well go wild. Sure, why not? So be very careful when you're manifesting as well, just in case. So then, lo and behold, Kevin's profile pops up on one of the apps, and it's a picture. His profile picture is him lying on the ground with a photographer's camera, and someone takes a picture of him. If that makes sense. So he's on the ground with the camera. So it's a picture literally of him and a camera. So I slid into his DMs and said hello. And the rest is history. But in that story, but again, I will let you know, in the story, he was very open and honest with me at the start. Like when we done, you start with the phone call and you get to know each other. Obviously on my profile, it was widow, single mother. Like I was out here being honest. Like I didn't want to, catfish anyone. I wanted to be honest. And he was very honest with me. He was like, you're probably very sensitive to people with illnesses or anything like that. He was like, just to let you know, I've had Graves' disease. It's in remission. And I'm not joking to you. At the minute he said Graves' disease, I was in my mobile home down in Ballybunion at the time. And I remember looking up to the ceiling going, are you having a laugh with me, in my head? Because I was like, that's totally John now, taking the piss out of me. He's got a fella here on the phone with me with Graves' disease. He's 6 feet under and I have a fella here telling me he's something that Graves' disease, no idea what it is, but it sounds like death. What is this? So he explained to me what it was. He told me it's in remission. He had treatment for it. All is fine. So immediately I have him friend zoned. Excuse me, we're going nowhere else. He doesn't know that. I'm still talking to him on the phone, but obviously my head is going, good luck, God bless. Because again, I was still, I thought I'd find it hard if someone got a cold or a flu when I was going out with them next, let alone your man's openly telling me he's something that's called Graves' disease. Yeah. But I said, he sounds lovely though. He does sound nice. He sounds like a good laugh. So I was like, sure, I'll meet him anyway. He doesn't need to know that he's friend zoned, but sure, can't we go for a meal together. Sure, can't we? Sure,
You might
then,
understand now why I wanted Leanne to be here.
sure, then he came down. He drove down to Ballybunion at the time because it was summertime. He drove down from Clonmel, so give him due. He drove from Clonmel to Ballybunion, so he obviously knew I was worth it as well. And he drove down, and literally, genuinely, the rest is history. I literally, I think, fell head over heels for him. Tried my level best to resist it, though. I was like, no. And he was everything that I've ever wanted. And I always say to people, he was someone that the 15-year-old girl would have wrote what she expected a man to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like, I work with manifesting now, so I get how it all works out.
We are getting there in a second.
Yeah. So I get how it all works out, but when you're going through it in real time, it's like, oh my God. So we just, obviously everything progressed really fast, and ended up selling my house in Limerick. We bought a house out in Newport together, out in County Tipperary, and yeah, it was so funny. I was like, I'm going to get a tiny bit of a bigger house because I've trained in Reiki now. So I'm going to go down that avenue to be able to work from home. We moved out there the December. The February, I fell pregnant on identical twin girls. So I literally outgrew my home. Again, first world problems. I'm not saying that, but again, I outgrew the home as soon as we moved into the home. And I was like, oh my God, now I can't work from home, because who wants to come for a peaceful, beautiful treatment when you've got screaming kids? No one wants that in their life. So I was like, okay. But then,
we agree on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But even at that, like, I was, again, the universe, I was like, seriously, what other lessons do I need? So identical twin girls, high risk pregnancy straight away, being monitored every 2 weeks. I had an amazing gynecologist, Dr. Narrow. And then at 28 weeks, she was like, you have to come in. I knew there could be twin-to-twin transfusion. She always made me aware of that. But in my mind, I'm doing Reiki. I'm hypnobirthing. I'm listening to all these things. Because again, I'm putting it out to the universe. Mm-hmm. We'll keep doing that. But at 28 weeks, she was like, I need you to come in.
Okay.
Because the twin-to-twin transfusion, which Hayley is twin 1 and she's still a glutton, she was starting to take from Hannah, basically. Okay. That's what happens, because with identical twins, there's only one placenta.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so then at 30 weeks and 5 days, I had identical twin girls. Hayley was born 2 pound 3 ounces and Hannah was born 1 pound 13. But again, forever grateful the work I had done. Mm-hmm. Because, oh my God. And it's so funny. So do you know the way I said I went on medication when John passed away, 10 months after John passed away? See the way there's the 10s, 10 months, 10 minutes, 10 seconds, all the 10s. So next thing, I remember walking up the Clare Glens, beautiful walk out in Newport, County Tipperary. I was walking up the Clare Glens in the January. And I said, me and Kevin have talked about having kids. And I'm open to it. I'm open to one anyway. I'm open to one. The universe decided, no, sure, you'll be grand with 2.
You're able for it.
You're able for it. You're a grand, strong Irish woman. You'll be grand. So, I remember being on the walk up in the Clare Glens and going, okay, but you're on antidepressants now, Leanne. Do you really want to be pregnant? Again, this is no judgment on anyone, but do you want this when you're trying to be as holistic as you can be? No. So I was like, I'm coming off them. Mm-hmm. I came off them in the January. I was pregnant in the February. It's like as if, so again, my higher self, I was communicating with my higher self, whoever I was communicating with anyway, we were communicating. So I came off them, fell pregnant. But again, even going through the neonatal for 5 weeks with the twins, I was doing Reiki on them when they were in their incubators. So that really got me through it to be able to help them. Where Kevin had a total different journey for me. One, it was he's first. They were his first kids. And obviously to a C-section, we couldn't hold them. I couldn't hold them for the first 5 days. He was a week before he was able to hold them. So it was very medical, the way we had the twins. But yeah, it was crazy. It was a whirlwind of an experience. But again, I'm forever grateful that I had been on my personal development, spiritual development, learning my tools.
You had the tools, yeah, exactly.
The tools in the toolkit. That's what I always say to people, because life is going to happen. I'm not over here saying, again, there was me. I thought I'd studied what I needed to study, but sure, the universe was like, sure, we'll just give her a little other sprinkle of something for her to get through. And that's what it's going to be. And that's what life is. I'm not over here saying that I won't be diagnosed with something, that I won't be suffer with something. Life is life, but I want to try my level best. Mm-hmm. And exactly. That's my thing, is I want to try my level best every single day where possible, to be my best. Not from I want to get an A in something. It's like to be healthy, to be mentally fit. And I've always said it to even my clients now, if my kids go away to college or move out of home, and if the only tool that they take with them is to connect in with their breath, I will be forever grateful. Regardless of anything else I've taught them, if they know how to connect in with their breath and just go, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling.
You just anticipated my question, because I want to say, what is your favorite tool or favorite tools?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so connection to that. And how do you, for someone who doesn't know how to, how do you teach that?
Okay, for me, it's just, and I love obviously the chakras. So one, it's putting one hand on your heart chakra, the other hand on your solar plexus, which is by your rib cage area, and just closing down your eyes, taking a deep breath in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. And just root your energy, like envision beautiful roots of a tree going from your feet down into the earth.
If you are listening and you're driving,
please don't do this. Yeah, please keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. But again, it's rooting you back into the present moment. Life is still going to happen. Whatever is going on is still going on, but bringing yourself back into now. Again, coming from someone I feel that has always struggled with my mental health. I'm not saying that this is a cure, but it can definitely help and facilitate you. If that's the basic of the toolkit, that's all you take from me, that is brilliant. That is the most amazing thing. And doing 3 of those, and it's like pockets of peace. Where in my day, and it's actually, I have a Advent thing that I'm doing on social media, and today's one, it's find your pocket of peace.
Yes.
So throughout your day, where can I find my pocket of peace? Yes, I could stand up and do the Hoover now. Yes, I could stand up and do that. But do you need to? Could you sit down for 5 minutes and just be, instead of rushing, going, doing.
Yeah, and that prompts me to the next question or topic. Where is the being in this doing? Or how do you explain to someone you are enough being the being?
Oh yeah, but you're enough just being you.
Yes.
See, that it's so scary, and that's why we always live externally, because we're out here and we're doing all the things because we don't want to come in, because sometimes when we come in, it's painful, it's hurtful, and that's why I always say to people, I'll hold you in a vortex. This is your time to just be, whether that's crying, whether it's laughing, whether it's going to sleep, whatever it is, but I'm holding space for you. But you can equally hold that space for yourself, and don't be scared of it. Because it's just who you are at your core, at a soul's level. That's why I love putting the hand on the heart chakra and the hand on the solar plexus. And it's to feel that energy, that vibration of who we are. I always say it's my higher self, but you can call it whatever you want.
Exactly.
Buddha, Allah, whoever. It's that person. And I always say to people, check in with yourself on a daily basis. So you've got your higher self who's always guiding you. You've got who you are right now as a physical being, but you also have that inner child who is probably dictating your whole life, how you respond, how you react. It's those unhealed versions of yourself. I still get triggered. I'm not out here saying, and it's funny, when I trained in Reiki, I assumed I was going to be this Buddhist monk floating on a mountain, namaste, nothing is going to piss me off.
No, I don't.
No, it's hilarious. I honestly thought I was going to be floating, nothing is going to piss me off anymore. This is going to be brilliant. Life is going to be amazing. Sure, I go home 2 days later and I'm killing the kids and all the rest of it. I rang my Reiki teacher saying, it hasn't worked on me. Clearly, I'm no good at it. I've failed. Oh my God. And here again, my inner child, the failure, because I was dyslexic growing up. So it was like the failure, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. It hasn't worked on me. I'm less than. And she was like, it is working on you. You have the awareness now that you're now aware of what is going on. And I was like, oh my God, phew. But again, I had this expectation of that I was going to be a Buddhist monk. I'm not going to feel anymore. Because I think we're all so scared sometimes of feeling.
And I think that's what we expect. It's a projection of we are going through healing. So that means all the pain
gone.
Exactly. Gone. So when it's not about that.
It's not. And it's not, we think it's going to be
about
erased.
The capacity of holding the pain.
It. Yeah. That's it. And someone said to me, and it was quite beautiful, someone said to me, especially because obviously the grief journey that I was on, and even though I was happily remarried now to Kevin and we had grown our family, grief can still trigger you. I'm not out here being remarried saying that my grief is healed. I'll still cry over John. That's a love that I had in my life. That's a part of my life. It's a chapter in my life. So with that, I always say to people, like, you have to be able to come inwards to know that if you're being re-triggered, that you're going in at a deeper level. And when someone told me that, I was like, thank you. Because you know the way sometimes you can be like, there you go now, I paid that.
I'm going backwards.
I'll go backward. I paid that counsellor loads of money now, and there you go, I'm being re-triggered. Clearly she hasn't healed me. That hasn't worked. Oh my God.
I couldn't bring a better person to explain. Like, I mean, the gift of today's episode is that people can genuinely relate to those inner dialogues or monologues or dialogues. It's actually
exhausting.
A dialogue.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's exhausting. And it was when someone said that to me, so I'm on my healing journey. I'm a practitioner, but yet I'm getting triggered. And sometimes it can be a bit annoying. But when that person, you know, there's someone can just, now that had probably been thought to me, but I didn't hear it. You know, the way you hear things at different times and you're able to then receive it. When someone said it to me, they were like, you're now going in at a deeper level to heal. So let's look at grief. Let's say when you're in the trawls of your grief when it first happens, you're crying every day. You can't see the wood from the trees. You're a dark night of the soul. It's all of those things. 2 months on, 3 months on, 4 months on, there's a day that might go by that you mightn't cry, or you might only cry for a half hour. So then you're healing. So then go into a year or 2 years' time. It might be a month, or it might be the anniversary or the birthday when you cry. But then sometimes, and you expect those ones, you expect the birthday and you expect the anniversary. But then there's the one that happens in the April that you weren't expecting, and you're like, oh geez, that, like you said, I'm backwards, I'm all the rest of it. But no, are you maybe only crying for a half hour? Has it brought up other things? And that's what healing is. And I don't know whether this analogy is a good analogy or not, but I always say to my clients, healing is like getting the phlegm up in a cold or a flu that was just left there, that you weren't able to get up, but now it's coming up and it's okay. So anyone that comes to me for Reiki, I always say to them, you could feel the exact same way as you did coming in. You could be doing cartwheels, loving your life, but you could equally be a hot mess, crying and snotting into your pillow, and that's okay. But go with it.
Yes.
Do some journaling. What else could be coming up? You know, and for me, with my grief journey, and I was sitting with a counsellor, and I remember the counsellor was saying something to me, and I literally thought of my mother, and I was like, there's too many similarities between me and my mother's life. Oh my God. So my mother lost her brother when she was 9. I lost my nana when I was 9. My nana was like a second mother to me. Grief has been a big part of my life. And I felt nearly I lost my mother at that point as well, because she was going through a massive grief journey. So here I am as the mother on my grief journey, talking to a counsellor, and I literally had this shift, and I had this awareness of, my God, when my mother lost her mother while I was only 9, emotionally she couldn't be there for me. She was an amazing mother, don't get me wrong, and still is an amazing mother and grandmother. But her grief felt vibrationally to me that she didn't love me anymore.
She's not,
So weird, so crazy. And in that moment, I had massive healing that went on there, because it was like, wow. Now, I then went and done ancestral healing and done all of that, because I was like, okay, we need to break all the chains here, because I don't want the same stuff happening to my kids. Let's do all of the woo-woo stuff as well in the background. But wow, having the awareness is amazing. But let's cut all the cords. Let's not have the same stuff happen, because her mother died of a massive clot in her arms. On her 70th surprise birthday party, my husband dies of a clot in my arms.
In his arms,
It's crazy. So you could see the synchronicities, and you could see that. So I was like, okay, let's get the sage out. Let's get an ancestral healer. Let's do all the things so that we can heal all of this. So that's what I always say, is always be open to the other messages that can be coming through. And you'll always hear people saying, like, universe, what are you teaching me today? And sometimes you want to stick your 2 fingers up going, I don't want to learn anymore. Please stop.
Exactly.
Leave me alone.
I had enough. Please stop.
Please stop. Can we pause? I need to, even though I'm not on holidays on a lilo, can we just pretend? But again, it's a journey, and the more we embrace it and are open to learn on the journey, and that's what got me into all the training, got me into doing what I do, is because I just want to be able to help people have hope. To, while no, life isn't perfect, but if you have hope every single day that you can shine your light a bit brighter, that you have to go through the darkness further to be light, that's what I feel that I came here to be, to do, and to share the message of hope And again, as I said, when you go through life and the ups and downs and in-betweens, it's that toolbox, that toolkit that you build up.
Yes, exactly.
That you can constantly dip in and out of. That you can go, okay, I'm overwhelmed today. What can I do? What's in my toolkit? I can listen to this. Even me giving up alcohol, I was being triggered. There's the first holiday, I was 100 and odd days into giving up, and I thought, I've got this in the bag, I'm grand. And I go to France and I'm triggered because everyone's talking about tapas and wine, and I feel like someone has ripped my life away from me. It was like I was a bold child. It was like, I don't get to play with that toy. It was that kind of feeling and vibration in me.
Yeah.
And I remember on the second day, I literally said to myself, I was out on a run, and I said to myself, you need to cop onto your life. You either need to go get a bottle of rosé, get over yourself, or get over yourself and download a podcast. But you need to get over yourself, because the pity party, for one, needs to end. And cop onto yourself, because you're here in a beautiful country with your family. You're very blessed, very fortunate. Get over yourself. So have the pity party. But Jesus, don't let it go over a day,
Yeah, exactly. I think it's one of the most dangerous states.
Oh, 100%. Pity party, yeah. And let me be clear, I did not go for the rosé. I ended up downloading the podcast, downloaded the Quidlets.
We are just about to celebrate your year.
My year, But again, you have to give yourself you have to be your own cheerleader sometimes. You have to be your own cheerleader. And I do say it to clients, it's not being morbid, but no one is coming to save you. No one is coming, no man, no woman, no higher being or anything is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. No one's going to knock on your door at 5 o'clock in the morning and say, do you want to go to the gym? No one's going to come and give you a salad at lunchtime and say, do you want to eat that to be more healthy? You have the choice. You make the decisions. And if you feel so trapped, so vulnerable that you don't know where to go, look for help. We live in such a beautiful age where there's so much help and support, whether it's holistic, whether it's medical, there's too much nearly. There's too much help out there.
And I think we can jump on the bridge towards manifestation and saying that you actually, when you set an intention and your soul wants to commit to something, you are going to be supported. I never saw it any different from myself
1,000%.
to my clients to any. So when there is an intention declared or not, usually it's declared, it has more potency there. But once the intention is out there, the universe knows what to help you with because the help is always there.
Help is always there to support you. And like, as you said there, and I love reminding people of that, we have a spiritual realm, whether you believe it or not. You have like your loved ones that have passed over. You've got like the angels, guides, spirit guides, all of those working with you. And if you just test out, I read The Secret before John died. Then I thought I killed him. I thought my thoughts were too much because I was, I was too stressed and oh my God. So they'll tell you where my mind went to. It was like, oh my God. But then I realized I didn't. But again, when you work with your mind every single day, like doing the gratitude practice, writing down what you're grateful for, writing down what you want to bring into your reality, but truly sit with it. So people will come to me, obviously, when I'm working with people, and let's say it's love. Let's say we want to manifest the love of our lives. Don't just say you want a man or a woman. What are their qualities?
Yes, exactly.
What do they look like? We're not going for vanity here. We're not saying, oh, he's 6 foot and he's got abs and all the rest are great. Write it down.
If
go
that's
deeper.
Important for someone,
if that's
fair
important,
enough. Exactly.
Do you? That's great. Let's hope he doesn't eat a burger. But let's hope he stays that way for you. So again, but even coming back to that, we all age, we all, things drop and sag and do all the do's. But it's like, what is truly important to you? What does he do? Does he drink? Does he, does he have kids? Doesn't he have kids? And it's going deep. But you have to know yourself, and 9 times out of 10 we don't. Because we haven't done the work on ourselves to know what we truly want. We just assume we want the man. We want the woman. So the universe is going to give you a man. It's going to give you a woman. And it might not be what you want. And you're like, see, that manifesting doesn't work. It's like, but you weren't specific. So the universe can only give you what you truly want when you truly know what you want.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it magical.
And also the aspect of everything is out there.
Everything.
It's waiting for you.
We live in an abundant universe.
Exactly. And the manifestation is only, I think, literally drawing the pathway towards that something.
Yes.
And working on the person who walks the path.
Exactly. And even if you come back to the state of the body, so if you come back into your body, do you feel like you're being pulled towards or away? Tune into your body. we're all beings, energetic beings. So when you come back to your body, you will know, is it I always say an F yes or an F no. I won't curse on the podcast, just in case you've young listeners. But if it's an F yes, go do it. Try it. But if it's an F no, stop. Put your boundaries up. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Respect yourself enough to say no.
Exactly.
And no being a full sentence.
Like, I mean,
it's crazy.
Give my own example. I went through a bit of a hell this week.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the week, because I had a very intense, positive doing the last 2 weeks, especially the last week with the book and all that. Monday morning, I felt like I need a day off. But my calendar was booked like was the end of the world coming after. I realized that. I was like, okay, I contemplated what I had on my agenda, and I could have made a conscious choice, listening to my body, to cancel the first 2 things in my agenda without anyone being affected and all that. I didn't.
Yeah.
I pushed my body, and my body said no.
Yeah.
For the rest of the week, I felt the consequence on that. Even the healing process, what I went through on session, what I went through on Monday, went against me, worked against the body's needs.
Because you were trying to push.
Yes.
Push. And again, I'm like that. It's the generator, I think, in us as well.
Yeah.
We're constantly going, sometimes to our own detriment. My mother always says, she used to always look at me like a steam train. I'd go and I'd hit the wall. And then when I hit the wall, I fall.
That's exactly, yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Whereas now I've started to notice that, and I have over the past couple of years to notice that in me, and that's why self-care is so important. And as you know, you walk the talk, you do it.
Yeah.
But just obviously for your listeners, that we both are saying we walk the talk, we do the do, but we can also we have speed bumps, we're human.
Yeah,
we can do it, we can have the breakdowns, the meltdowns, we can have all of those things where we're not perfect, because no one is. We're just always trying our level best.
And always when you have a moment like this, is like, okay, what did you learn from it? And how long does it last this for me?
Yeah.
So how long do you let yourself down, or you use what you know, and you literally lift yourself
up.
And I love the way how you put it. You have the resources within you.
Yeah, within you 100%. Get out in nature. Because we're in the confined boxes. Get out in nature. I've been known to hug a tree. Do all those things. And so, even coming here today, I could have pushed myself to go to the gym this morning, but I knew I had to be home early because my husband was going to Dublin. But I said, I'm going to get out on a walk, because I knew I was going to be sitting in the car to drive up here today. I would be sitting down talking to you.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I'm out in Mother Nature, that's normally when I get all my downloads, my inspiration as well. And I love it. But instead of doing nothing, I said, do you know what? I'm going to do that. So where can you find time in your day to nurture yourself? So even,
yes, exactly.
So even for you in your busyness and the calendar and the overwhelm, it's like, the calendar is still there. I still have to do things. Maybe I'll just go for a quick walk now to detach from it for a minute and ground myself into my energy.
Yeah.
And that's why some people, and you'll know yourself when clients come to you and you're like, take a deep breath. And they're like, I'm paying your one to tell me to take a deep breath. I know how to breathe, but we don't.
Yeah. We don't take time to do it.
We don't take time, and it's these simple things. Like, again, people will say, oh, you're going to tell me now to write out gratitude, or you're going to tell me to do that. I am.
Yeah.
But clearly you haven't been doing it, or else you wouldn't be with me.
Yes.
So you're welcome.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, so this episode is going to be live, will be January when you hear this, the start of January. What is your advice, if I can say, or what you would tell people at the start of the year?
Okay.
To prioritize self-care, I think.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Prioritize self-care. And if you can do, now I know a vision board, okay, this is very cliche, start of the year, do a vision board. Please do one. Do one up on Canva. But first and foremost, get a pen to paper. What do I want? Financially, do a couple of columns. Romance. Now, this is even if you're married. In the romance, so do I want him to be more attentive? Do I want him or her, whichever. Do I want them to do more? But also, so your finances, your business or your work, do out a couple of categories, do up a Canva template, put pictures. We're all visual people. We need to do that. Also, I would highly recommend if you could read 3 pages of a personal development book or a spiritual development book each day. Gift yourself that for the month of January to help raise your vibration. Connect in with your breath and get out in nature. It's the simple little things. Find those pockets of peace where you can nurture and love yourself. And remember, you are that bright spark.
Yes.
And write down 2 things. I challenge you to write down 2 things that you're grateful for that you've achieved in your life. And write that down every single day as well. Because we find that hard.
Yeah, we do. Totally. Absolutely.
What value do I bring?
Yeah.
I read that. I actually said that in my podcast this week, is like, what's the value I bring? I don't think I've ever been asked that. What's the value you bring? We don't even think about that. So I would say to your listeners, what value do you bring to those different areas of your life? Because sometimes we don't see our true worth, our true value.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the lovely chat.
Thank you. I loved
it. Very, very empowering and powerful as always. If you have a question for me, feel free to shoot. I'm all yours.
I know. I'm more intrigued of what is next for you. I'm really intrigued to know what is coming up for you next that maybe we don't know.
I don't know if you don't know. So it's not something that I didn't speak about it, but definitely my biggest objective is to have the book out there on my birthday, the 18th of March.
Yay. And how are you getting on with the process?
I'm getting on extremely well. So I had 2 failed deadlines, which didn't flow.
Okay.
Absolutely didn't flow. And at some point I said, okay, give up. Stop.
Yeah.
Don't force it anymore, because it's something that, and I realized that I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
It was part of a healing process.
The
wasn't.
universe.
Exactly.
There you go.
And then it flew. So I submitted 90% of it last Sunday. So I just took my time over Christmas to tidy up and to add the last 2 chapters.
Love that.
And I know it will be flowing because I am in a period where, like, I am on with myself.
Yes.
I'm quiet. I have enough time and energy to
do it and focus on it.
Yeah.
And I said to you actually before the podcast, I said we were due to do this on another date, but we had to reschedule. That time when we were due to do it, there was a storm. So even though we weren't aware the storm was happening, we rescheduled. Yes. And then I'm coming here today, and today, for your listeners, obviously they'll be listening to it in the future, today's the 13th of December, which a lot of people think is an unlucky day, and that's what we've been told. But I was explaining to you beforehand, it's the Goddess Day.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th is about being in your flow, and you've just even said it there, you're coming back into your flow, you're coming in, but you listen to yourself. So the fact that we're even here today on Friday the 13th recording this is magical. Exactly. So that the people that will receive it, it'll be exactly where they are right now, that they'll need to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And I think every single moment, I think I just had an aha moment when you said about the flow. And when you have breakthroughs, a progress doesn't come always with, okay, everything is going flowly and flawlessly. And no, I think when you have a moment of a little bit of shaky, bumpy road, it's a breakthrough.
Yeah.
To a different level.
100%. It's like the comfort zone, because you were probably comfortable in those ones.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, I have to take the next leap.
Yeah.
And then it felt, I always say the earthquake. It feels like the earthquake. And you're like, oh, no, excuse me. I'm okay here now. We've done enough. And then it's like, but leap. And that's what I always say to people, say yes to every opportunity. So my mantra has been, say yes to every opportunity. Have a panic attack in the background. Figure it out. You'll be grand. But say yes to every opportunity, because what's for you won't go by.
Yes.
So even me coming here today, like massive, like it's like all these things, like where people like, you're so confident. It's like, I'm not, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm out here. I'm showing up.
You're showing up. Exactly.
That's all you can do. And we're all the same.
Yeah.
No one is different. We're all the same.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you so much
for being here. And I hope you really like the podcast as much as I do. This episode. So give us the love, all of that. So give us a thumbs up, and we know we are on the right track. Thank
Leave the reviews. Leave all the reviews.
Leave the reviews. Yeah. Totally.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Thank you.